name, Mr. Mwenda. Thank you for joining us, sir, and welcome to this platform.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Machacha, and good morning to our listeners out there. Good morning to our bus drivers, marketeers, and all Kawai District residents. Thank you.
And I hope that we can cover a lot of ground, gentlemen, whilst we're here. But I want us to focus this agenda, especially this conversation with, the welfare and the plight of the many youths out there. I know that right now, I think the challenges are real, nothing new, but I want to start with you, Mr. Mwenda. The new Dawn administration came in with the promise of bettering the welfare and the lives of so many young people out there. We've seen this drive, yes, in the name of recruitment, but I think by and large, the biggest on top of the agenda is youth unemployment vis-a-vis job creation. We'll not say, now it's been a year plus, I think the UPND has settled down. Let's first of all start by tackling this issue. And I'm glad that you're actually representing the youth wing as far as this is concerned. Where has the new Dawn administration taken its promise of bettering the many lives of the youth out there? We say this because for some reason we're getting a lot of complaints from the young people. Mr. Mwenda.
First things first, Mr. Machacha, allow me to appreciate the majority youths that gave the UPND government the mandate to be responsible or to take charge of the affairs of the nation. I think even the president is very much alive to the facts. We can't run away from the fact that without the huge participation or active participation of young people in the previous general election, I think UPND wouldn't have scored that goal that we needed the most for us to be in charge of the affairs of the nation as a whole. Mr. Machacha, getting back to your question, I think it is quite fair for young people to complain because expectations were too much, and it is very normal because we assured young people to say immediately UPND forms government, they apply to be looked into. But the question is, haven't we looked into the young people's plight? The answer is we have. Mr. Machacha, let me tell you one thing. One thing we should understand is the majority of Zambia's population and world over is characterized by young people, the people below the age of 35. And believe you me, it is quite impossible for a miracle to happen, for everything to happen at a go, or for each and every young person to be empowered as per expectation. Should we run away from the fact that the UPND government hasn't created opportunities for young people? That we shouldn't do, because the reality is opportunities have been created. I'll ask a very simple question here, Mr. Machacha. When last did Zambia as a nation employ over 30,000 teachers? These are questions we should be asking ourselves. And most of these teachers that have been employed,
those are just teachers. They're just teachers.
I'm not done.
It's a drama in the ocean.
It's not, Mr. Machacha. I'm not done. When last did the Zambian government employ over 11,000 health workers? And when last, the question I'll ask again is, when last did we see a job advert for any form of recruitment that government undertook? Even in the previous regimes, it's been long, if not in the MMD era. So the point is, whatever vacancies the UPND government is trying to fill in by creating these opportunities, other vacancies are being created in the private sector. Imagine, Mr. Machacha, what has happened to those private schools where over 30,000 teachers were recruited or employed. Truth be told, vacancies have been created in those spaces. Imagine where maybe over 11,000 health workers, vacancies over 11,000 workers occupied in the private sector. Those vacancies have been created. So what's happening? What's happening is when government employs someone, believe you me, 90% of that ratio were employed in the private sector and a vacancy has been created. Right. Believe you me, Mr. Machacha, when government creates any form of empowerment, young people now have got the privilege to apply for those jobs in the private sector as they wait for more other opportunities that are coming. Let us not even go very far, Mr. Machacha. The Ministry of Youth and Sports has come up with various initiatives of empowering young people with startup capitals. CDF should be a benchmark of our discussion.
We'll go to CDF because now you're running fast forward.
No.
You're bringing in issue that you need to give us a chance to also weigh in.
I hear you.
You're talking about all these opportunities, initiatives, empowerments,
yes,
and recruitments and so forth. But look, before I bring in Mr. Chandana, the bone of contention still remains that if you talk about 30,000 teachers, yes, plus, but then you look at the difference as well. And people are saying, look, are these sectors the only sectors that, your government, the UPND, is priding itself? What about all these other areas? Because it seems like you create one opportunity and there's so many other opportunities that are begging.
Mr. Machacha, haven't we seen adverts under the Ministry of Home Affairs?
How many people
haven't we seen adverts under the Ministry of the Defense, ZNS, Army, ZAF? Youths are applying. Mr. Machacha, maybe the reason why I brought in CDF is because we are talking about youth empowerment and employment. Mr. Machacha, CDF has deliberately been increased to cater all these issues that we're talking about. Our young people, in as much as we would want to complain, at times it's very much important that we acquaint ourselves with right information, because there are grants for young people and women in that CDF.
That is where the problem is, Mr. Mundi. That's why I'm saying hold on with CDF, because I think you're going into a very, very hot pot here. Because we'll come back. I'll give you an opportunity later. Let me get to Mr. Chandana. As the opposition, as you're offering the checks and balances, and leadership movement has really been consistent in terms of offering these checks and balances, I want us to also give an opportunity on the issue of employment. You yourselves in opposition said you create all these millions of jobs for the young people. Currently, as we speak right now, are the youths being employed? Are the youths being looked after, especially in as far as job creation is concerned? Because it seems like everybody wants to be in the formal sector, unfortunately. Everybody wants to be recruited, everybody wants to be in government. I don't know why that is the case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Machacha. 1 year plus of the New Dawn government in office, we have seen teacher recruitment, Zambia National Service recruitment, Zambia Collection Service recruitment, Zambia Police, so on and so forth. But we as leadership movement, we are not satisfied with this kind of recruitment. I can tell you this, Mr. Machacha, when the New Dawn government took over power from the PF, they are the ones who told us to say we have inherited an empty coffer. So if they inherited empty coffers, why did they rush to recruit 30,000 jobs, teachers, which these are consumptional jobs? We must be productive. We must put production at the center of everything, because we in leadership movement, we believe once we form government, we are going to create 4 million jobs. Now, these 4 million jobs, Mr. Machacha, we are not going to be looking on papers, degrees, grade 12 certificates. No, we will look on the energy of the young people, because at the moment we have 5 million young people languishing in the streets. We have the human capital which we can utilize and come up with products. We don't deserve money as a nation if we have no product. We must first have a product, because in leadership movement, we believe money is a medium of exchange. So if money is a medium of exchange, what products do we have which we can sell out to Congo, which will attract South Africa, which will attract Tanzania? These are the things which we want the New Dawn government to work on. They are recruiting as ZNS, and this ZNS, believe me, Mr. Machacha, we are not going to hear about any state farm in this New Dawn government from the ZNS. And we as leadership movement, we have been saying better we recruit millions of young people under Zambia National Service. Today, 1 year down the line since the New Dawn government took over from the PF, what's happening in Kasenseli? We have sent soldiers to block the indigenous Zambians to mine gold. We are waiting for an investor. 1 year down the line, investor Taremoneka Mchalo Chesu, and you are just dormant, waiting upon that investor to resurface in our country. Where on earth? It's high time we must think outside the box. We must think ourselves to say we have these natural resources which God has given unto us. We have the human capital which is just languishing in the streets. So if we mean well for our young people, what can we do for them? We have seen, Mr. Machacha, how UPND youths are protesting. It started with Kafue, Mazabuka, even in northern province. It's because of they lack a better roadmap.
They are protesting what?
We are seeing how these young people, others are protesting in Eastern Province to say, no, my contracts are CDF, PF. These are things which are happening, Mr. Machacha. And this thing it's going to hit the UPND badly, because they are only trying to look on people with certificates. And believe you me, I want to quit my paper, Mr. Machacha, they cannot take development. We have seen people who are not educated, but they have the capacity. No wonder leture mweno muntu wa Zambia Police tetabutuke teteka bwalala ali no muntu wa double of double abutuike shani okuchila ba youth abakwete amaka. So this is where now the New Dawn government should look into
the many human resources out there, and as opposed to, and it's not just him, and I think we've had a situation where people have cried.
I wanted to interject and just to stop my brother.
No, you can't do it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to follow the rules of the game. But I think it's quite unfortunate when we've got members of the opposition that take pride in misleading the masses out there. I think my brother isn't being factual when he's trying to express certain views. I'll give you an example. You asked him a very simple question. What were UPND youths protesting about? And his response, clearly he doesn't even understand what he's talking about. UPND youths are not protesting of government only awarding CDF contracts to PF and MBCD. Those are not the only issues. Mr. Machacha,
But they are protesting.
Yes, we won't run away from that fact. As long as you're a bona fide Zambian, you must benefit from state resources equally. So, yes, we have a few people that don't understand the president's vision. President Hakainde Hichilema, Mr. Machacha, doesn't look at a political party. President Hakainde Hichilema doesn't look at the tribe. President Hakainde Hichilema doesn't look at age and race. So, when some of our people complain, the opposition should even take pride and say, oh, okay, clearly HH understands the assignment. Because this is what majority Zambians, the 2.8 million Zambians, voted against in the previous general election. Because it was only a few people benefiting because they were affiliated to a certain political party. Is that what we want as a better for a better Zambia? The answer is no, Mr. Machacha. We want each and every Zambian, regardless of your political party, to benefit.
Don't you owe it to your members, obviously, by virtue of what they brought to the party? Because I think that's a major bone of contention. That look, seemingly, in terms of what they brought into the party and ushering in the New Dawn into government. Before I turn to Mr. Chandra and focus on other issues.
Exactly. There is that public perception, Mr. Machacha, but the answer is no. President Hakainde Hichilema hasn't forgotten the party members that made sure that this victory was delivered. He hasn't forgotten about them. But what we're trying to communicate even to our members, Mr. Machacha, is let them be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
We saw how our brothers in the previous regime empowered their young people. Today, I'll ask you a very simple question, Mr. Machacha. If you can point at any person who's even splashing money around with pride from the 10 PF lost, because of what? The mode of empowerment in which their members were being empowered. It was a bad one. It was a lazy one. People didn't work hard for that money. This is why education in the previous regime wasn't even considered to be something important. A lot of young people were discouraged to even be educated because what they just believed in was to go to the gym, you'll be successful in life. Is that what we want? The answer is no. Our members, there's a model that's being prepared for our members. A strategic model away from dipping into government coffers like it used to happen in the previous regime. And that model is coming to Tanzania. At least I can disclose one or two things that are being done here in Kawe only.
Okay, just hold on to that thought because yes. I want you to come and disclose that particular one. But Mr. Chandarala, away from the issue of employment, again, is important because I want us to separate these two because sometimes we tend to mix the two in terms of employment and empowerment. Constituency Development Fund, moving forward, I think it's been one major teething problem. The pronouncement of this fund to a tune of 25.7 was so exciting for many Zambians. And alas, this is November. We're yet to actualize so many developmental projects, and especially in terms of empowerment. Mr. Mwenda has spoken about the New Dawn having a different approach towards empowerment. But from your point of view as leadership movement, how are you approaching the issue of empowerment? What is it that you intend to do for the many youths and the many Zambians out there? Because the complaint again is that what is your agenda in terms of empowerment away from the issue of employment for the many Zambians out there, bearing in mind the CDF issue?
Thank you very much, Mr. Machacha. We as leadership movement, when it comes to empowerment, we understand very well and we know to say it's not only the young people who want that empowerment, even our grandmothers, even our grandfathers. And the first true empowerment we are going to give to our grandmothers, our grandfathers, and every Zambian is land ownership with title deeds. Because this is the true empowerment every indigenous Zambians need at the moment. Today we can talk about FISIP. If that's title deeds, they can't be writing about FISIP. FISIP is the ox today. And many people are complaining Today we have cooperatives, 300 of them. They are only receiving a
maybe before you go there, let's go back to the issue of that.
Yes, that's what I'm going.
Yes.
So what we as leadership movement have understood is that when the New Dawn government came into power, they made the pronouncements to say, well, you think I'm form cooperatives. And we saw many youths forming cooperatives. Today, Mr. Machacha, as we speak, we have 100,000 registered cooperatives today, active ones. And none of them, only few, maybe are active enough. But all these cooperatives only formed these cooperatives because of we want to get some funds from the New Dawn government. And it's for this reason, other cooperatives, they don't even have a vision, they don't even have a mission. All they wanted is to get funds from the New Dawn government. My friend here can even attest to say some of his chairmen, some of his leaders formed even 7 cooperatives in order to access these funds. And we have been seeing this. We are in Zambia. And believe you me, Mr. Machacha, I do meet and talk to many leaders, especially from the UPND government in Lusaka. I have so many constituency chairmen who visit our secretariat, who complain about the New Dawn government. At least you never constituency chairman. But so we thought this cooperative or these empowerments, Mr. Machacha, can only be a success if we identify true Zambians. Amataba pamuti abachef tumbo abachitenshi abambako kusako business kali elo ko bapela ma funds believe you me tiakola because toyimo yako na example MPF ya ma cooperatives bapela my buses lero yali quiz atwa mfapo na ngufimo yambia parking afi pa government complex to alimona pona futi ama artist empowerment funds na yena afi muveni. So we are urging the UPND government to identify not how to get kwa kweta ma cooperatives awe na ngune Mr. Machacha as long as I have 1,000 I'll go and register a cooperative elo bambita bakwete so they will be hindered to get that empowerment.
So you before I bring in someone, they spoke about first of all land and with titles and what you made it sound easy. I mean land in Zambia is really moving fast. How do you intend to do that in terms of giving land with titles, and that's just one of the things we do in terms of empowering.
Mr. Machacha, don't feel lazy for Zambians, especially leadership. We are lazy because believe you me, to produce an NRC, try upon expensive which a title deed. Title deed need plain paper. The coat of arm, the diameters of the perimeters of your land. Nefia na siu ngam bookshop. It's only 100 kwacha. But we have kept our people captive. This is not what our forefathers fought for. If we want Zambians to stand and sing proud and free for Leo, they must be given what belongs to them. But minus that, we are only promoting foreigners. Only people with money, they are the ones who can access title deed. Wambuya kurukanga tetwakwate title deed. Wambuya kafulafu tetwakwate title deed. Inshinkusa tulelwa. But what's important is to realize that land is an asset. If land is an asset, let's ensure that our people own them with title deeds so that they cannot easily be evicted on that land and they will not be dependent on the government to give them whatever they can be given, but they'll stand on their own because they have resources with them. And unless now my title deed very lazy, you say to say Zambians because we have tried you, but you have never tried them.
So now, back to the issue of employment, and you mentioned to us, Mr. Mwenda, that you probably tell us in terms of, how we're approaching. The challenge being that from the time the CDF came in, you saw the teething problems.
Yes.
The guidelines, and we kept going back and forth. It had to take the president even himself to come in.
Exactly.
Even today, this is November. Yes, we appreciate a few grants, a few employments here and there, but the problem is still real. The major and the majority of the youths that were cooperatives that were formed just to access money is still a problem out there. So how are you approaching this issue of employment through CDF now?
Mr. Machacha, I think we have to be very categorical as we discuss CDF. And before we even come to that topic, allow me to react to my brothers.
Well, if you're going to be reacting all the time,
I will, but
because you need to react to things that you feel, he has not put you in an awkward position as the New Dawn.
Exactly, Mr. Machacha, but I think it would be very much unfortunate and unfair of me not to correct the situation because my brother here is misleading masses, Mr. Machacha.
How?
He's talked about issues of land and ABCD, Mr. Machacha. I think if really our brother can do, if just a little bit of a research on what the UPND administration is trying to put in place, and this is what we campaigned on. For example, very soon we shall see a situation whereby whichever investor wants to invest in Zambia will have to partner with a Zambian. And a Zambian strength, that Zambian without any form of capital, that land, that title deed will be what? Will be their capital, because they are going in as equal partners with that investor. So these issues, as my brother is talking about them, these are things that UPND is working on. And it's very important that when we come to platforms like this, to do a little bit of a research.
Unlike Mr. Mwende, let's not
let's talk about CDF.
Maybe he hasn't done it.
No, he hasn't done it.
He has done it, because I don't want us to be discussing.
Okay.
The point is, look, Mr. Mwende.
Yes.
Again, our guide. Let's not create an impression here that maybe your fellow guests have not done his homework. Yeah, I think he's done his homework, just like you have done it. So he is protected. But the issue is that you keep saying the new dawn will. And this is the language of the new dawn. It will soon. So let's talk about, before you bring in your point, the issue of land, to partner with investors. Why are we, because he was talking about the issue of investors. Why do we still want to talk about partnering with investors? What about ourselves? Can't we do it on our own? And of course, you can bring in your other point there, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Machacha, one thing we should understand is there are certain businesses that need certain capitals where even local citizens don't have the capacity. Certain things we should be admitting. And at times, it's not even having the capacity in terms of cash, but the know-how, the knowledge on how to push certain agendas. This is what we're talking about. We're not trying to look down on ourselves as Zambians. We are good at certain things, and certain things need expatriate involvement where certain investments are concerned. So we shouldn't be running away from the fact that we shouldn't work with external forces to improve the welfare of our environment. We're talking about CDF. Getting back to CDF, Mr. Machacha. You talked about teething problems and ABCD. That problem is a long gone issue. It's already resolved. We've seen councils, we've seen constituencies receiving resources and buying various equipments as per choice of that particular constituency. I'll give you an example. Kanchiria constituency. Recently, Honorable Sandit Chanda was buying a grader for their constituency. We've seen what Itezi has done. We've seen what's a few projects that are happening in Kabwe Central through CDF. Mr. Machacha, issues of CDF are long gone. Those youths that might be complaining to say they've not been empowered, empowerment can't come to everyone at a go. We had a backlog. For the past 10 years, only a few people were eating. And in the new Dawn administration, we believe everyone should eat equally, regardless of who you might be. My brother here is admitting to say we've got some of our leaders that are complaining to say, no constituency chairman, but in their true life. No constituency chairman have not benefited from that empowerment. This CDF man is my brother. This CDF man is Mwebekala Chano. Teshaba UPND. Shama Zambians won't say. So just because you belong to UPND and you think you have an advantage to benefit from CDF, you're wrong. Apply, follow the normal process. If you're picked, you're lucky. If you're not, then wait for next time. Already, other grants, some of the youths that we're talking about have started receiving messages. Those that were not empowered in the previous empowerment program have started receiving messages to submit their details for them to be considered in the next empowerment, Mr. Machacha.
All right,
let me just conclude. So when we're talking about issues of empowerment, the UPND not looking after its people and ABCD, general citizens out there should even thank the UPND leadership under President Hakainde Hichilema, because he's looking at Zambians equally without any form of political lenses.
Now, we'll come back to this issue. I think top of the agenda again, gentlemen, is, I think, generally development.
Yes.
And I think all these that we're talking about is development. But there are certain specifics. People want to see better roads. People want to see, better welfare, better housing, better schools, and especially with regards to this issue of infrastructure. Right now, we are exposed as a country when it rains. It's the only time we realize that actually we have a problem as far as the number one perennial problem of this country, the road network. Coupled with whatever it comes with. As leadership movement, what is your developmental agenda to bring this thing to a pass? Like you mentioned, 58 years of independence, we're still complaining and reading about the road network in this country. Your developmental agenda, in as far as that aspect of infrastructure is concerned. Chandala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Machacha. What it is first is that when we are productive, believe you me, we can't be waiting for money from IMF to give us so that we can construct a road. We can't wait for donor fund so that we can construct a school or we can construct a clinic. This should be the issue of the past. No wonder we attain our friends. Our friends by UPND, these are capitalists, and they believe in foreigners. They have put foreigners on their center. No wonder today they cannot stand and talk on themselves to say, we as UPND to alert Kubekala Zambia. They all want to look upon investors to come into Zambia as if they are angels to deliver us from the things we are going through. So it's important, Mr. Machacha, that our readers, we have seen how terrible our lords are. Kufuma fena ngunipa Lusaka kufika hapa na tumana malords tari wino. From Kapiri Ndola, lords are bad. From Selenje na Konde, lords are bad. From Kambo Lord, Tuta, Sanvia, lords are terrible. And we have people in government today who are just seated and they are waiting upon foreigners.
So what's wrong with foreigners? So it seems you have an issue with foreigners.
The reason we have an issue.
You never do it with foreigners as far as your government is concerned when office comes.
What it is, Mr. Machacha, we are not saying that you are not going to work with foreigners. Leadership movement will work with foreigners. But what we don't want is we Zambians to be kept stagnant. Marishwa Mr. Machacha, kwa be fearfully. Same now kwa tomo anapanganda. Akula after 25 days, I for independent. No, your father, I'm stable. I'll be giving you 10,000 every month. Umwana after pay age akupa 30. Dad ndefo angupe. Umwana futa no, wala upa. I'll still be giving you a 15,000 so that you can be taking care of your family. Ulefundo umwana kwa productive na ngupa dependent. Kupa dependent. That's why we are as a nation today. For how long have we been receiving aid? Since you need MMD, PF, and now in the UPND government. And this thing will continue UPND until 2026. Believe me, Mr. Machacha, we are going to see the UPND lying to Western countries to borrow because they are used. They want to put their planes at the center of the development of the country. It's for this reason, we as leadership movement, we are saying enough is enough. What we want is we Zambians to believe in ourselves. We have abundance of natural resources. In Kasenseni, we have gold, we have aluminium, we have emeralds, but we don't utilize. Why UPND? That's why they are putting emerald direlo. That's why they are putting Kasenseni gold mine. My brother is here. I think he will give us the reason why the UPND has sent soldiers in Kasenseni over a year now without any tangible development which has come henceforth. They are waiting for an investor. Hello, God, you can't say, Mr. Machacha, can assure you. Batola fi abana pamulu te kwimba no kwimba. You can't dig. Abana batola fi pamulu bale pa ilako no toni. Na Rwanda Clan Defunga Leadership Movement 10 pingishe ba youth abengi mzDNS. Ngata tukweta wa machinery. Let's start with picks and shovels. Today not kwata ba youth aba ipabrimas pa. Abali ready kubomba bakwata opportunity. Oh, bane, this is a pensionable job. 1 year 6 months cleaning under Zambia National Service. Not left create our abig yokuthulile chipatala. We want Zambia National Service to be constructing concrete loads, not bituminous loads. We don't want that. And this has to sink in the UPND government because my friend here can argue, can do what? But believe you me, I want to
give you an opportunity, Mr. Mwenda. The developmental agenda, I think there's so much really expectations from the many Zambians. Not that they haven't had, but I think 2021, I think, proved something different. I think so many Zambians, you saw how that all of us are really, desperate for development. There are many issues I've mentioned, and I think to this effect is the current situation where we're in, the road network and a lot of other facilities that come along with it. Is you as a party as well as somebody representing the youth in that particular aspect? What is your take on this current situation? How do we get over this problem as a nation, really?
I think we started with better roads as an issue. Let me localize it. Mr. Machacha, one thing we should understand is there are systems in place. And government isn't run what can temba. This is why I'm amused when I hear my brother talk about certain issues here and there. It even reminds me of a song in the Our Glorious Band, because it's very easy when you're looking at matters from the outside, Mr. Machacha. The UPND Dawn administration, Mr. Machacha, we shouldn't run away from the fact that it's worked on certain roads and already it has signed deals to work on the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway, the Lusaka Livingstone dual carriageway, plus other roads that are being worked on. Let me localize this discussion. There has been numerous complaints from various members of the community concerning township roads in Kago. Mr. Machacha, through our area MP, Honorable Chrysosta Piri, she lobbied. And 40 kilometers has been given to Kabwe district off the dual carriageway, which 20 will go to Wacha, 20 will come to Kabwe Central. And it will be out of these 20 kilometers, certain critical roads will be worked on. This is a score on our area MP that she's achieved, because it wasn't easy to lobby for those for. So
this lobby is away from the actual CDF and whatnot. It's different.
Yes, it's different. This is coming from central government.
Okay.
In CDF, there are roads that are being worked on. Look at the Kalonga Kamshanga road that's being worked on. Today, it can rain heavily and there won't be ponds of water along that road. Go to Katondo. That road is being worked on. Unlike in the previous, where we just saw temporal works being put on these roads that needed urgent attention.
Yeah.
Allow me to talk about the issue surrounding the Kaptula Natseko road and the Gonde Seagate road. These roads, through the area MP again, she's released an emergency fund from the CDF given to RDA to work on those roads. And it's RDA now delaying these works. And allow me to state this and let it be on record. If RDA doesn't have the capacity or the muscle to work on these roads at this given time, let RDA stay off and allow members of the community to come up with certain community initiatives so that members of the community are off this burden of experiencing ponds in these areas in which they are living in. Talking about concrete roads, this is why it goes back to research. Honorable Charles Milupi, the Minister of Infrastructure, has made sure that going forward, certain areas will have concrete roads, because these tarred roads cannot be everywhere. And the cost of a tarred road is quite expensive in the region. This is why we're trying to look at cost-effective measures, but very, very effective and to the benefit of the masses out there, Mr. Machacha. My brother, we brought in the issue of MinRose, Kasenseli, and ABCD. The question is, for how long has UPND been in power, Mr. Machacha? And when did we see Kasenseli being active? The people that were doing active mining at Kasenseli were cadres that belonged to a certain political party. It wasn't the Zambian government that was doing those activities. This is why the new Dawn administration has come up with an initiative of stopping or halting activities at that mine to ensure that we have organized mining that will benefit majority Zambians. Even a Zambian in Sesheke should benefit from the gold that's coming from Kasenseli. We're talking about construction of these houses. ZNS should construct an ABCD. And now, this is what the UPND Dawn administration has done. It has even gone an extra mile. Before we even go to ZNS, we are starting at ward level to identify contractors. We've got bricklayers in Kaptula ward, we've got bricklayers in Kalonga ward, we've got bricklayers in Katondo. Why should we wait for ZNS to come from Lusaka to come and construct a house when we've got people with the capacity to build a house in Katondo? This is where decentralization comes in, Mr. Machacha. We've got wards that don't have that capacity of building a hospital or even houses. It's been elevated to where? To the constituency. If the constituency doesn't have the capacity, it goes to the district. If the district doesn't have the capacity, it goes to the province. Not until all these channels are exhausted, this is when we shall resort to solutions at national level. Because the principle is that money that will be used to construct it can be a hospital, it can be a house or whatsoever, should remain in that particular locality. Right. And I'm urging our citizens out there, if you see a contractor who's not from your area, my number is 0973 886561. Call me and we shall stop or we shall chase away that contractor, not until we are given reasons to why a foreign person has been awarded a contract to build in an area they don't come from.
All right, so that's the rule now?
Yes, yes, it is.
Enough. Well, but with what authority are you going to be using? Because you say, call me, and then with what authority?
Mr. Machacha, I'm a citizen, and whatever the president says becomes law. It's a policy that has been given. As citizens, we've got the rights to demand for what is right. As citizens, we've got the rights to hold our leaders accountable. So if our leader does something against the law, we've got the rights to protest and chase away whichever contractor has been awarded such a contract in a particular area they don't reside from. Unless those leaders that have awarded those contracts to those contractors prove to us to say, yes, in this area, you people didn't have the capacity to build a school. In this area, you people didn't have the capacity to do the road. And this is the reason why we chose this contract, which I understand. And at the most, Mr. Machacha, at the most, if that contract is foreign, still the labor should be sourced from that particular area.
The other pertinent issue, Mr. Mwenda and Mr. Chandra, is I think the welfare of the Zambians. I'm glad that Mr. Mwenda was talking about and for some reason, the UPND made it look easy when in opposition that all these things will happen. I mean, there's certain things that we're still waiting for that you seem to give us an impression that they will be sorted out as soon as possible. But up to date, time has gone, but we still keep being told that no, very soon, and all of a sudden, things are not as the way they seemed in opposition. So even when you say there's certain things that you made it easy, we're still waiting for, and I'll remind you of these things.
Please,
but Mr. Chandra, look, I think another pertinent issue to the many Zambians, the welfare of the many Zambians. And when you talk about welfare here, I think there are so many things coupled to the welfare of the Zambian people, especially in terms of the cost of living. We're still obviously waiting for actualization of the reduction in the prices of the commodities. One of the things that the UPND made it easy for us that once they take office, as soon as possible, we'll see the reduction of major commodities. Milling will be one of them. Fuel coupled with it. As leadership movement, what are you doing to ensure that Zambia, the welfare, the economy of this country is brought back to a desired situation, bearing in mind with what even the current government is doing, because even them there.
Machacha, I think before I even go to we as leadership movement, what we are doing in order for our people, I think, to have something on the table. I think I would want to remind my colleague from the UPND, because they have been boasting, blagging about inflation. Number yo inflation, umuntu ishitisha ama biscuit pa blema sali fish. Yo kwacha balela nda pale fish. Ta fish ba. And they are busy boasting about that. They shouldn't boast. They must work. What we want is to ensure that yale twika ifitumbo pa muntu awumfa impact yako that au chachi na inflation na iwela. Ala umfasha impact. Ifitumbo alisi chapali 1 kwacha. Ngambo kuchapali 50 ngwe. Umwe naka mnoko that au chachi ne na ngwanda pali dollar wa UPND. Chachi ne wale wamba. But they have been talking about dollar ever since they came in. They have been, oh no, dollar twice and pay 23. I paid 16. No inflation, the time we 2 digits. I paid 1 digit. For what? What we want is to ensure that if into na fear kubantu for file 5. So we as leadership movement that we KLF. Twice upon Mr. Machacha, Tlando Kwebatawe, to the fire by youth and Tabasa bomba. We are doing those things. Already in Kwacha, we were empowering women with fish ponds. Already in Shuangandu, we have farms there where we are producing something for our people there. When we talk of Luansha Mpongwe, we have certain activities as a party. Even in Lusaka, we have activities as a party. We don't just sit back and decide to Aisa. Actually, UPND, opposition. They were failing to demonstrate. But us as leadership movement, we are walking the talk. We don't just talk anyhow. No wonder we are not politicians. We are reformers. Wakachinja bafintu. For to learn that to implement more position. No wonder when empowerment. It's because of into more position they failed to empower their people, so they don't have that DNA in their blood to empower. Because ngabanye say empower we know abantu bawo na no mbanga tabashupikwe, because they have the resources, they have the state machinery, and they can't fail to bring people together to say fetwane bomba more position. Now we need to go abroad now, regardless of your political affiliation. You are one Zambia, one nation, one tubesu tell mu state yaso. No wonder tumwene fe abana basalangana amasparing ya MPs bambia barushie, they are complaining
the welfare
so Fortland so economy, Mr. Machacha, va UPND na bafilwa because va itwebe na bakwata economic recovery plan 1 year down the line. I don't know for how many years my brother wants UPND to be given so that they can demonstrate what they mean. But Mr. Machacha, efo chawa lin to va UPND va more position shata ile umfapo va president na nguni brother wanda pa Mr. Mwenda kulanda pa land ownership na title deeds. That's the first thing. The second thing into UPND va more position shata lile bomfwapo na ngivi my brother vaisa nango pano pa KNC balando kwebati ifwe nga twaisa mu power mwebe na Zambia tuka making sure ati amaka yenu yaleta obukumu omumrefu. Mr. Machacha moneni na tukwata lukanga na tukwata maila zali kanalekana elo muri abantu tetutu kefyo. So for today for achakwat abantu alima areas zo nabakwata ma councillors nabakwata ma MPs nabakwata na leaders abalinga ifwe abakwata situwa mone file chitika Nombechengelo kwebati abanensu bambe for state that it's because of they don't have the DNA on how best way they can put things on the table. Listen to Twali Mona Sean Tembo, PEP president, atwalile calculator wakateka, astima calculator wakateka, abemukishe, calculation wale panga. During campaign times, we saw President Ichilema na tusadi zote wa kupimisha tuja. Wati ya tinga tuwaisa tukastashani, tukafuma poto tundu. But lelo, fish to lemon, fimo fine. So for today for Mr. Machacha kwebati. One, once and for all, let's be productive as a nation. Government nga yaba lazy, na abantu bala abalezi. Government nga yaba productive, na fume nto ala shibuka, to alata mpokwa productive. My Minister of Agriculture, they can't even point at a farm to say no. If we're the Minister of Agriculture, you don't. They have a farm as we have 10,000 hectares of land which we are developing as Minister of Agriculture. None of that. The only say now, never PF, we share. Blame about PF. It's now their responsibility now. They have taken over from the PF. So we shouldn't be talking about PF, Mr. Machacha. Now it's the time the UPND has to be held accountable. It does not matter how many years they have been in power, but what matters is the policies they are putting in place and the vision and the focus they are putting. Today I'm going 6 months, but offer to only 1 year, Mr. Machacha. I can rest assure you that when it comes to their economic recovery plan, now I feel what terribly.
So the DNA, interesting. Mr. Chandler speaks about the DNA. Mr. Mwenda, let me give you an opportunity, and I think I think that's a main issue, isn't it? We cash it's a welfare of the Ministers, and the new Dawn administration promised that they'll come and better the welfare of the many Zambians. As we speak right now, and currently, of course, it's normal education, but it seems like the Chilidishi, it's getting more louder. What's your take on that, Bamenda?
That's cool. Mr. Machacha, allow me to start by saying, Zambia. It can be at MP level, kutiba councillor, kutiba MP, kutiba president, namba mayor. Echo babapeli la 5 years mandate. Because bad sure to say, thing if in look chitwa, if you kashitaka nono. This is why, whether our friends in the opposition like it or not, we know our president, we know his capabilities. This is a man that was successful in his private life. And this is a man that doesn't know what failure is. This is why, within this 5 years mandate, President Hakainde Hichilema would deliver, whether our friends in the opposition like it or not. I'll give you an example. How long did it take for CDF to increase from 1.6 million to 25.7 million? These are questions that we should be asking ourselves. How long has it taken for youths, for these jobs to be created in government? Like, these are things that we should be discussing about at times. We're talking about the economy, Mr. Machacha. Yeah. This is why those that don't understand the nitty-gritties of economies, yes, they can be on top of their voices. No, HH Nashville, hey, this and that. HH Machacha, Nishi Nanga. HH is a surgeon that has gone into that theater to go and operate on Zambia as a nation. That we should feel like
he's operating
yes. Mfweni Mama Chacha. Apa mkonke sana. Chimono mwana pangana. Nanalo nanangara bati chipute. No amwebati charaka lipe chipute mwana alatina. But you as a parent, as a wise parent, momfya shuwa man. Wala mudonso oli omwana kanipama. Wala chitina chipute. Pakana kala kamushira kachishani kafume. Ala lilo mwana limino kutuka ala kutuka. But a few months down the line, uli omwana olya ewala apo kama benefits yanshi yachilonda chya wamulepula chile chipute chinya. Despite namuchaka lipepali buli abushiku, but the long term benefits are more. Abantu fe badana na pali mwana wasa try mukushanya te no garbage no shani te shofu alechi. People came to appreciate Mwanawasa when it was too late. What President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to do, the measures President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to put in place are long-term benefits. So at Nangwaye Church Vakesef Mapum 2031, abantu bakeshi benobisha to say, but okay, umulumendo alibomba. So that whoever who aspire to be president should realize to say he or she will have a mammoth task
And that is
ahead
of police.
in 2031.
Elections are in 2026.
No, elections are in 2026, but
you're misleading us.
don't worry about that.
Let's go ahead.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
So that whoever who aspires to be president in 2031 should realize to say the mandate that President Hakainde Hichilema will leave will be huge. The other day I was joking with someone to say, I'm a politics here, quite interesting, eh? I was giving an example for Patrick Tishala. Look at the activities he's trying to do. I was telling someone to say, a friend of mine wants to aspire me to say, boy, look at the noise that Batshala is making. Look at the things that Batshala is doing for Kabwe district. It won't be an easy thing for someone to take over from him. This applies also to the president. Look at how opposition leaders have become jokers. Because they've got nothing now to talk about against the president. Even things that they know, they've chosen to go the ignorant way because they're trying to play to the gallery. Mr. Machacha, whether we like it or not, my brother was talking about inflation. It must even be his responsibility to explain to someone in the streets what inflation is, what the UPND government has done. Talking about the dollar, we found the dollar more than 21 point something kwacha, and today the dollar is at 16 kwacha to 15 kwacha. A businessman who about the film to Dubai, about the film to South Africa, no kwashala, they are appreciating what the president has done.
That's not what the president mentioned. The president mentioned that the dollar will not be at 14 kwacha or 15 kwacha. Why are you changing the position?
No,
because you were given an impression that it would be easy at 10 hours, at 14 hours.
Yes.
What were told to Kwangu?
No, Mr. Machacha. No, listen.
This is a call we were talking about.
Look at the gap. Look at the drop from 22 to 16. And we should admit, the moment the president was elected, the moment the president was sworn in as president, we should admit the dollar dropped against the kwacha. And we should admit the fact that these are some of the things that determine these world economies. Because the world economy the world market out there has got confidence in the current leadership that we have now. How long did it take for our brothers in the PF to get the IMF? They failed. But how long did it take for President Hakainde Hichilema to get the IMF deal?
And the IMF is the best solution for Zambia as far as the UPND is concerned.
Mr. Machacha, the IMF solution deal so far is the best, and what we need is proper actualization.
Right.
Because in the previous, it was wasteful expenditure. But now, we are talking about right prices, the right time, and the right commodity. Mr. Machacha, I wasn't done. Let me get done.
Can you take a short break so that I allow you to come up and then you come back and continue the conversation, so that I know that the phone is already buzzing because I think this conversation is becoming interesting and the messages are plentiful. So just a short break, gentlemen, and then I will come back and I'll also give you more opportunity to explain and open up the conversation for those that are listening and watching us. We take a short break.
10 hours.
This time sheet is brought to you by Lukanga Water Supply and Sanitation Company Limited.
Lukanga Water Supply and Sanitation Company Limited wishes to apologize to customers in most parts of Kabwe for the water interruption being experienced. This is due to fluctuating power supply at our underground water sources. ZESCO has been informed and water will be restored once power stabilizes. The inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. Lukanga Water Supply and Sanitation. Water for life.
All right, welcome back, and we still continue. I'll get back to you, Mr. Mwenda, but I just want to also give an opportunity to Mr. Chandala here. Still talking about the welfare of the many Zambians. The agriculture sector, I think we've now been told the narrative that this is a major employer for many Zambians. The agriculture sector, knows no credentials. It employs degree holders, non-degree holders. Every other Zambian, as long as you're able to till the soil, it employs you. In this particular sector, how is the leadership movement positioning itself to better this sector so that it, brings with it the fortunes of the many Zambians? So already because it's traditionally what we, tend to take as agriculture, though in its actual sense it means a lot. But for us, it's what is the big deal. It is farming, and in this particular case, it's inputs and maize. the agricultural sector, Chandra, Pamonga leadership movement. What is it that what is in your DNA in terms of improving this sector, so that it's one that we can also divert the economy to? Because so many times we've been told that the agricultural sector is key to diverting our economy that is more dependent on minerals.
Na totela Machacha iyi point analisa fi explain muchibemba wino pakwe bat abalimi mukawe noko bali on for copper belt one for wino policy yesu nga leadership movement pali agriculture to all business bamona fi at famine ni November nga yaisa kubyala filya fine basombola amataba basha FRA chapo. No wonder farmers lero Mr. Machacha, they are becoming poorer and poorer every day because of this mindset. If we pamonga ba leadership movement, icha kwambira po Mr. Machacha na alawekera ni kuli land ownership first na title deeds kuma farmers. Tatulefwaya farmers baleba dependent kuli government kwa pera fisip awe. Ngachakwe bat farmers ba babika pama boda kasumbalesa. Mwina Zambia ngata sicheko tumataba tutatu bamwikata. Mwamupelo mufundo na mponi ubiri mwina Zambia mwaisa mwampangira no mutengo wa kushitisha 50 kg bag yako awo itwalashita pale 160 kwacha. Elo nga maroesha leba ile ingira mo Mr. Machacha. Lesa mkumono kweba ati na 180 na 160 ta ile kwana. So for to refer ifenga ba leadership movement ngatuwa isa mo ba Dr. Richard Silumbe president nga baba pera opportunity abena Zambia mu 2026 tulefwaya wonse bashima farmer bakabe dependent pabene pakwe batinga bali mayali amata Mr. Machacha fly fala ebali Mr. Machacha kuma Zambians ifwe ba fala ebakola pera transport farmers kwatwaira amata bakwali for kushitisha ngani ku Congo bakola mkushisha ku Congo. And then food basket ikaba under Zambia National Service will make sure that ZDNS balima amataba yengi aya kubwesha mutengo wabunga muchalo. Elo farmers bafuya bambo kumona farming nga business bale for kulima rice they can bali rice bale for kulima potatoes they can venda potato tatulefo Zambia kale mafe mu October awe tulefo farmers akale throughout the year irrigation farming na bakwata resources they can do that, but because of limited resources government Mr. Machacha matala mfapa tapera fisipu mujuni alali mashani farmer ngule ule uteka uchaya garden mujuni takuja ma inputs nangu ni neja shama input na alisa na tumona obwafya buliko nangu makola zvalata mpoko tuma mwana mfofa ata mpoko landa pali issue ya fisipu ili ni disaster ni don government. So therefore
what's the best approach of this FISIP issue?
The best approach Mr. Machacha is to ensure that farmers are given land ownership with title deeds. Ngato abapera ifi Mr. Machacha twakula mwana bakalapunda pali fertilizer kubuteko bakachepa bantu abengi nishwaishwa iland na abambera bakwata 1000 hectares of land ina title, and there is a policy to say onso mwina Zambia ukwete impanga kutaya muzanako kutaya mwabsa kutaya mustandbig asenda kaloni ayamboksta plow impanga yakwe pakwe bat amboko mbera pakubwesha ingirenda ram ngasombolo mwirenga ni 300 bags of maize tafila sicha kuli ba ZD kuli ba FRA ngale FRA kesicha Congo kesicha kwa Angola kuli prophet ikulu nomba this time Mr. Machacha akwe bati na wishwa Congo kuli prophet ikulu walasanga wa ZDNS wiper border bala kwikata ero ushiche kuli ba FRA instead of pange prophet ikulu le panga prophet no twala kula shani. So this is the kind of approach we want the new Don government to take. Ngabalefu abamuna twala kula with that ngabati we come for them to say this is what we want, because when the new Don government succeed we all succeed. And we as leadership movement, I heard my brother talking to say, yo, our opposition need to opposition. He must be specific when he talks about opposition, because we are there as a leadership movement, which is giving solid and critical checks and balances. We don't insult, not even a single day.
Administration, progress, because when they progress, we all progress. Now, when you hear the opposition talk like that, as a new Don administration, I just want to have you a quick take, and then I'll ask the question. When the opposition says, look, ours is to say when our friends succeed, we all succeed as Zambians. Isn't that the kind of opposition that you want, that says we are issue-based, we're not here to ridicule, to insult, but we want the new Don to listen to us so that when they succeed, they take up these policies, we all succeed, and the Zambians will not say leadership movement, they'll say the UPND administration. Isn't that the kind of opposition that you seek as the new Don administration? Doesn't that matter to you?
100%, and it promotes democracy. these political activities. I think he's been magnanimous to even applaud newly registered parties such as Citizens
First.
Yes, Citizens First by Harry Kalan. President Hakainde Hichilema believes in freedom of expression, believes in checks and balances, and he believes in democracy. How can we promote democracy? By having such voices talk freely without being harassed in any way. Mr. Machacha, one thing we should understand is President Hakainde Hichilema is a man with a very big heart, and I would allow me to use this platform to urge our leaders all over the country to learn from him as a president. Look at how he has embraced our brothers in the opposition. He's embraced it because of what? He believes in one Zambia, one nation. Look at what he's done just for Kabwe alone. We're talking about development. That bus station opposite the mall was dying, was slowly turning into, in fact, it turned out into a white elephant. But the president, through the system, prioritized Kabwe, which is being run by a PF mayor. If it was politics, he would have taken those resources to where? To Southern Province or any councils being run by UPND mayors. But we've got a PF mayor here in Kabwe who has been given over 5 million for the completion of that bus station. Don't we have a heart for the opposition? We do. And I'm urging our leaders to take a leaf from the president's approach. My brother here, Mr. Chandala, I think there's no arrogance. But what we dispute is false information. When masses are being misled by the opposition, that would dispute, Mr. Machacha. And when a right check and balance comes in, we shall admit, we shall gladly receive it. I'm taking note of everything that my brother is talking about here.
So
and
now,
we shall submit to our leaders for certain things to be put in place.
great. I still want to give an opportunity because I wanted you to react to that issue. But
Yes.
the issue we discussed was the issue of this sector, the agricultural sector. In opposition, we heard of a 250 kwacha price of fertilizer is what you have as Zambians. And I think that's on record.
100%.
Today, well, it's another story. The agriculture sector, Mwenda, obviously, it's one key for us as a country, and we cannot run away from that fact. But how are you faring in this area? I want to give you this opportunity so that you speak freely as new Donor administration. How are you handling this sector already, right now, as we speak? FISIP leaves much to be desired. Every day, there are complaints, there's confusion. We're trying to access people responsible in these offices to come and talk about these things. Sometimes we hit a hard rock.
100%.
But at least we have you here in your capacity. Maybe try and bring us up to speed. We're still waiting for the bag of fertilizer to be 250.
100%, Mr. Machacha. The question is, have we changed our goalpost on the price of fertilizer? The answer is no.
Okay.
Mr. Machacha, UPND is barely a year plus in power. And what we are trying to do, as I stated earlier on, to say UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema, we are looking at long-term solutions. Today, the price of fertilizer might not be 250 kwacha because of the modules and modalities we're trying to put in place. This is why, one of the reasons to why we even had a challenge, or we've experienced a little bit of a challenge with the effective supply of fertilizer or farming inputs to our farmers, is because of the principle that we preached on. Zambians shall come first. We prioritized Zambian contractors, we prioritized Zambian manufacturers of fertilizer. But it was proved that they didn't have enough capacity to meet the demand. This we should understand. And we should also understand to say, unlike it was in the past, the UPND administration has increased the number of beneficiaries of the FISIP. We should understand. So there are those challenges that we faced, and we've not shunned or run away from that fact, Mr. Machacha. We've admitted this challenge has been faced. But what Zambians should understand is the reason why we face this challenge is for the better good of our nation. Going forward, these challenges shall be things of the past. Because we've also learned another challenge that we faced is, Mr. Machacha, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is a very, very magnanimous man. If you've noticed, we've got people that have complained to say, no, why are other people not fired? Why have they been left in certain positions, despite them working with PF and ABCD? We're trying to change the narrative. We're trying to practice clean politics. not politics of vengeance. We understand our brothers and sisters in these offices were working under tough conditions. But again, we've got those that seem to be very arrogant, Mr. Machacha. Those that those that are being pampered by the opposition and think they can frustrate the system. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So where fertilizer is concerned and other farming inputs, Mr. Machacha, we do admit glitches have been there. As a journalist, Mr. Machacha, haven't we heard the Minister of Agriculture admitting to say the president is putting pressure on him? The Agriculture Minister has admitted because of what a few glitches that have been experienced, the president is a farmer and he knows the pinch each and every farmer out there is feeling. So going forward, these problems will be rectified. And in some parts of the country, by the way, allow me to state this, people have started receiving their farming inputs. I'll give an example. Look at Northwestern Province. Northwestern Province has started receiving farming inputs. Eastern Province has started receiving farming inputs. And other parts of the country. And some parts of Central Province have started receiving farming inputs.
Right. Before I open up the conversation, Mr. Chandalala, the way this area and issue is being handled, I think we've heard from Mr. Mwenda on the best approach to this. But from your take as leadership movement, is the government handling the issue of FISIP with with the seriousness it deserves? It's already November. Mr. Mwenda has talked about already some parts of the country receiving this. The minister did mention, I think it should be a week or so ago, that 55%, we're talking percentages, but already there are problems of saying, no, the seed is not yet hit the ground in some parts, and November is planting season, as it were. Is this FISIP being handled in the best manner that it should be, from your point of view of the leadership movement?
Mr. Machacha, I can say the FISIP, the way it is being handled today, it's not how it's supposed to be handled, because it's November, and believe you me, I was in Luapula, I think last month. I was also in Muchinga, and I saw farmers preparing their fields by then, and it's November. They have not yet received their inputs. Just recently in Monze,
Yes,
a certain cooperative was complaining, even where my brother is talking about Eastern Province. Let him tell the nation, or the nation here on this platform, to say they are receiving according to the bags people want to receive, because others are expecting 4 bags. And others today, Mr. Machacha, I can tell you, they are only receiving 18. 50 kg, they are sharing 2.
How factual is that? I'll provide evidence, my brother.
I can provide.
Let us lead the masses. Provide evidence.
I'm not misleading the masses. How about them for Mr. Machacha? I'm a farmers. I'm a number, yes, we are everywhere.
We actually had this complaint.
Yes, I'm a farmers. Now, when I want to go back to Lusaka, I'll still meet some farmers within Kabwe district. So, Shanda from without Mr. Machacha. I've got a family which are farmers. I've got friends who are farmers. They are coming. Oh, SG. Money situation to go to 400. But if I was just recently in Mukushi. They were complaining these same issues. So I want my brother to be listening to such advice. So that they must take upon themselves to say, if any opposition, fishing country, why push up farmers? Even other callers, Mr. Machacha, when you open up the phone calls, they'll tell you what I'm telling you. Because the New Dawn government, they have become reactant. And believe you me, Mr. Machacha, if they don't handle this issue very well, next year, because many farmers this year are not going to afford and manage to plant do their fields because of these same things. And I wonder, Mr. Machacha, finish feeling because I'm a same agriculture officers by district, by district, but number, why is it that 1 year of the UPND in office, Chashupa, coordinate with no Asia FISIP? Is it that people are trying to frustrate their works or what? Or is it that they have gone to honeymoon now and they are not prioritizing farmers first? Because we know of the view, Mr. Machacha, to say, if ngatualekele shama farmers, I can assure you, ubunga batula ileba UPND pari 50 kwacha, next year to double because of the same issues which we are hearing and listening. So it's high time what we want as the opposition, because as we are not in power, and my brother is here, they are in power, they have the instruments of power. So we want them to go on the ground. They are strong on Southern Province. They are complaining, Mr. Mwenda, if you don't have any evidence after this program, I'll give you whom you can call in Southern.
So let's now give chance to those who are listening. I know these two gentlemen here will go on and on, but
can I clarify something?
No, because I need you to be very brief, because I know already this conversation needs to go to the public.
I think it's very much unfair for us to be going back and forth on matters that have been discussed. Earlier on, I admitted on a few flaws or glitches that we've experienced. And I even mentioned some parts of the country that are receiving this commodity. And my brother here talking about stronghold and ABCD, those are old-fashioned politics. We're no longer looking at one tribe, one stronghold and ABCD. We're looking at Zambians equally. And one thing we should understand is my brother here is trying to say, no, next year we're going to do an ABCD. Whoa. We've got a lot of reserves, eh? We've got a lot of maize that has been reserved for these other coming seasons. And regardless of the yield of this season's yield, our food reserves are highly secured. And what our people should understand is very soon, and I must admit, let it be on record, those people that he's trying to talk about, say, no, Mapoka IBD and ABCD, these bags of fertilizer come in groups. There's a top dressing called D compound in urea. And another poka, I poka the D. Urea. And it will be given in those phases. But as we attributed to the fact that, yes, there was a challenge because of the increase in the number of beneficiaries, and the local contractor that was contracted to supply the commodity, based on what the president has been preaching, Zambians coming first, failed to meet the target.
Wow. Let's pick up the conversation. Chachi, the farmers are sharing to fertilizer. That's a message there. 0215-223847. When you call in, ask your question. You need to be brief in a minute. So let's pick up 3, and then I'll allow my guests to respond. So the question, we have Mr. Mwenda and Mr. Chandra from the leadership movement as well as the UPND. So ask your question, 0215-223847. When you call in, make sure you ask the question in a minute, and I'll give chance to as many people and I'll allow my guests to respond. Next is already fast and furious. Let's pick up this first call. Thank you for joining us and welcome to 101 Live. Aye, Nation of Yadishwa. Punya number 1, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Baka Punya number 1.
In a zone of contention, I remember you suffered at the hands of the court so many times when you were in the opposition. You remember that, eh?
Yeah, sure.
But you were fighting what you wanted. Now the case, when you people came into power, you really emphasized on the rule of law, where the court won't arrest you until they discover about you, until they know that. That was the president emphasized a lot on it because he was there. He went through the same. You get my point. So once he came, and I'm just thinking, looking at the recent where these judges were arrested, I feel we are still running in the same water. I don't know what you can say about that. They have to continue doing such when the law and the president has made the rules clear. That's my problem.
Right. Thank you so much. I was actually asking in the morning about how that the police and the media can coexist during the line of duty. But then again, we'll respond to question number 1 there. Just taking Mr. Mwenda. Hello, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from? Mankole in Mkushi, please go ahead with your question.
I'm going to Abukasha.
One more call and then I'll allow our guests to respond already. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. Tulifemu kwa ikadishuna na kwa wale tumina. Mkwai. Why ba wasa kama kushi mkwai.
Ifira ndawo para kubosia ku opposition na wala ndishinga. Utakola tifwe bali kwa power ishobora kusumina. Point number 1. Utakola tifwe ishobora nishinga muri power cyangwa wili. Abo bari mu power wali na ndishinga kwa tifwe ndawo na ufishinga. 50 years independence. When what are 5 years in Monaco, Bamuranka, Mamitan, get to people who Kushranka, Mamita. Mamanaka, then it's just what I was doing now. The other one of the challenge she was a very moon and can just put your soul. What you push out of the work. Means you will know on the side, Tipurata, Midika, Namashaka, and Mida. That's what I'm going to about you at the time of the program. We shall look in some other one. Then we shall want to 10,000 people. 11,000 this plan. 6 years much can increase, look for 1.6, by the 0.6 prices. But when we go back to put our farmer, the body for the shadow. Put our 30 plans, Baba Pela Masara, the Rambo, Sarah, the Rambo, Babafoda. 2 months, Babic on a 10.5%. No, the pretty farmer, the plan can remember that.
All right.
And you are the Jamaica. You push it. I don't know who you are pushing now. But you, busy.
You want to talk to them? Mr. Mwenda, you may react. I know that a couple of issues are falling on your side, sir. Maybe just quickly react to those that you feel need to react to.
Yeah, let me start with Mr. Oscar, because I think his submissions are fresh. Mr. Oscar is talking about the UPND administration not accepting. But Oscar, ngana muikonga sana program hii. Na tusumina. Kuni film biofa tusumine film. Film bitatu sumina because bufi. Twashaka pele ya fertilizer ba Oscar. Na tusumina tuse tatukene fertilizer na ikwata kwa issues. Hello, na tusambirira. Going forward if tafika chikepo food na tusumina. If ofyo muleranda. Then talking about employing qualified people only. But Oscar, muko Oscar kwani na chanda na kulanda to say that's why CDF, the minimum shamba CDF works. To have to restrict kwisa, muma wards. So ati ngamna mkwata ngamo break layer ngakumwa kule chipatara. Shidenda masharishani muward. So ati dia leba information muward. Muda muward ngata mkwete abanga bomeshire milimo. Shire akwisa pa constituency. Pa constituency ngata pali. Shakula afya finefi. Tumana ma desk na baba ochelera aba panga ma desk ya ma planga ndebe ama competence za DBCD. Na muri school ya kumkushuko kwini ngaba lefo okita ama desk aba kumkushuko bali bafwa wa kumkushi wa kwashisha ma desk. I think a lot of young people are skilled and this is a deliberate way of giving them business. Ba Oscar tulela nde chinga pale ba mshindi misepera abanangani abako affect bale fo affect tuliye mofi. UPND government doesn't believe in tuliye ukutandamira fendera mabale before tefo to asumisha as by UPND if it were believe amukubombera indala mashobe so atinawenga wayo kuko solera urenda ne chirumba not if you kupera kamanda no is a data mafamuliem if you twalikana away from my Oscar. Let me go to Kaponya number 1. Kaponya number 1 talked about the rule of law. My brother, I appreciate that you reminded me of certain memories that I underwent under the previous regime, and I believe President Hakainde Hichilema is trying his level best to ensure that the rule of law is respected. Yes, we have seen our brothers in the opposition trying to use this as a betting tool. Mr. Machacha, it is the president who recently sat with his cabinet and is trying to push Parliament to repeal that law of defamation of the president. Let people have that free speech. But as things stand, it hasn't been effected. So we're still working with the old law, and we can't run away from that. This is why our brothers in the opposition have to behave in accordance with the law as things stand, because that law hasn't been repealed yet. People don't have to take advantage of whatever the president said when he was in opposition, because it hasn't been effected yet. And one thing we should understand is, I'll ask a very simple question. Haven't we seen most of our friends that have been arrested released on time, unlike it was in the past? Things are happening, despite that not being effected. My brother talked about police and roadblocks, I think. The police going against, I think he's talking about the situation at the traffic lights. I think on that issue, we're trying our level best, away from the nitty-gritties that have to be involved. We're trying our level best just to understand. I had a conversation with them about this. At times, it doesn't hurt to prepare from some coffee. Because again, what we're doing is depriving government from resources. This you should understand. And there's Nkole here. Yeah. I was responding to Kapina number 2. So Nkole, the party fuel na fertilizer. Let's talk about fuel subsidies. The reason why maybe fuel equated. Umlando wa fuel okukwela. Nindalamo chitwarefunya ngo uteko uta subsidize fuel ukati ukuchita push on that difference kalia. No machine ndalama shia. But HH no uteko wesu wa UPND not funya up. What we've done is this money has been channeled to other things such as free education. So to sadepo, twesta fuel pali 16 kwacha nangu awana ichalo chonse bali Sunday school ya free. We should admit or we should agree as citizens. Right. We've got an issue where grade 12s and grade 9s and grade 7s first time have not paid for their exam fees. This is a record, Mr. Machacha, because of what? These subsidies that have been removed from fuel. Yeah. Fertilizer, we're trying to go the local way. We're trying to start producing our own fertilizer. And this is where now the price will drop immediately we start producing our local fertilizer. All right.
One will be thinking this should have been something that the new Dawn should have already done by now. It's like now you're giving us an impression that it's trial and error. Changalala, any reaction to the cause? Because I need to accommodate more cause, especially the issue of fuel. Mr. Mendes has explained as to why the fuel situation is as it is, because these resources have to be channeled to other pertinent and important issues as well. Maybe your quick reaction, one, so that you can have up to and then we read the message and then we wrap it up.
Chakwaila po Mr. Machacha, I think chana umfasana to my colleague here Chakwebati. Na mwebale umfaba komfokula pati UPND tawaka stepo create manch to kuba shasan bilila. Feba shasan bilila tukapea femo ECDF because echo to where that's where we belong. And the issue with the fuel, Mr. Machacha, as leadership movement, my president, Dr. Silombe, I think gave an alternative to the UPND government. To say, now, but first, yes, this zone ya fuel ya kwela, it's because of Inkondo, Ukraine, Kulasha. And then we came on such a media platform and they told the new Dawn government to say, papali lelo, ama Western countries, ama boycota, okushta fuel kulilasha. And the Lasha is looking for partners where they can sell fuel cheap price, but because of our friends are capitalists and they have friends in the US, they can't go against their will, so they want to sideline with the United States. No wonder we are where we are today. It's because of our friends cannot stand on their own and do their own things. All they want is if you're under the US, a direction. But if we were serious enough, Mr. Machacha, that line of subsidy, we must have gone Kulasha Kudia, sign contracts with the Russian government there. We as Zambia to therefore product and we can do that. It's because of Tumfafie Kumo Niku America. America. So America that's no more African countries that feel much fuel Kulasha, believe you, maybe our government will fall under that same threat. Because they don't want to go against the will of the United States. And we as a leadership movement, and we'll keep on emphasizing to say, we can strike deals with Russia and we can have cheap fuel in our country. Not if today, Mona, let's not submit Abantu Besu Kubuchushi. No, it's high time our people also have to enjoy wealthy, not poverty. We must share wealthy, not poverty. No wonder we need leaders who can think outside the box, leaders who are creative, leaders who are innovative, leaders who can see possibilities where things are not possible.
Let's pick up another round of calls here and then we give an opportunity to provide more messages. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much. Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Kapalo calling you from Dala.
Go ahead, sir, with your question and contribution.
I just have a contribution. Good morning, the panelists there.
Good morning, Mr. Kapalo.
I think the other gentleman from UPND, you've spoken so well. You know, I feel so sorry for the opposition. Dani Mukose. I see a situation whereby you have got a president who is already ahead of most of the opposition. So some of the criticism which normally comes from the opposition, I think they are full of, for the lack of better term, let me say, bitter jealousy of how the man is running the country. So far for me, I think the man is doing it. So let's help him to make sure that he has a good passion, a passion for this country, good passion for it. Because the next we are able to see in the fertilizer scandals, these are the issues we had in the 10 years past, where people, you know, certain people enjoying some liberties, you know, disclosing others. So we shouldn't say the new dawn, whatever. Let's help the new government make sure that they deliver. The man is having the good, you know, passion for this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kapalo, there for coming through. That's just a submission. Hello, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Tulifika mwa kesho mishana na mnoko wale tumina. Imko ya wana tuwezi mwa wantu mwa ipsha.
Ndipo kulanda kofe kuya wala jenga ya ndola. CDF jenga ama kashpani. Akuja wala ndati Espanyol nda kapkira mata abantu bawo kutanda bakomulani. Bandanda kubantu bawo abakati. Bayo PNG wa ndokeza abantu beno. Abamawazi, abamabranch, abamabotwe. Tapai mo wata pota abantu bale tsaka eba emile nkondo. Ahora bayo nkondo ba makanto, patabalika waye tsaka ndo kwa na bile tsaka usto, emele mshako. Tatumara toko mwenda kio. Dios la cantidad que la va a la Dios que la ya la digo de la paz de cualquier lado ya voy a decir que por cada tu bajo para que va a dar tu impacto no ahora es como la más de comprensión uno de para avanzar yo la vista la gana todo el día yo estando toda la situación por este caballo nada dice nada de esto caballo la entonces cómo le va a estar ahí ahora está contento de la partido va de todo más blanco ahora la capoya ya va a tirar una gata y se va a tirar la vida tomar no la pantalla anda que ya va a ir a la vida pero no quiero no ir así como va a ser la gente de ya está lo que va ya es para la blanca y para la pantalla no ya ves también no era ir para la más blanco más allí ahora que está Mr.
Right, I think that point again has come back, so I'll allow Adun to respond. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program. Bapa kumkushi mkwaya tibasenda kwa bari wangu. Right. Thank you so much. So Mr. Menda is coming in his capacity as provincial youth chairperson, mobilization. So he's not representing Kabwe district alone. So, but of course, bearing in mind that you are from this vicinity, so you will be able to respond to Bapawa Bush. I think we need to get one more question, but I think the first one was just more of a submission. Hello, thank you for joining us. Okay, your line is not very clear. Seriously, you need to try and call us back with another line there. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much. How are you?
Well, fine, thank you, sir. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from Makuya, President.
Empire James.
Ndiko kulando kwa sasa kuna chuko kwa mwenda walando kwa shughuli unga ya kwenda panishi ni shifuri education takuleta kila kilibura. Nongani hicho chingana ni shifuri kaunga ndio kwa free education. Usheshuwe leo ya renda ya babika free education shule kudula. Ele chimbinesi. Ushaiza. Iyo mlevo mshakadino hiyo president yako. Yani mkwetu kare na mwalia odaimbi.
Right, James Nakupuko. Mr. Mwenda, let me give you a chance to react to many things that are falling on your laps today. Please go ahead.
Okay. Let me start by appreciating Mr. Kapalo from Ndola. Thanks a lot for that submission. And I must concur with you. I think for President Hakainde Hichilema to succeed, he needs each one of us' support. And he's a focused man with a very, very clear vision for this nation. And without any single doubt, I will go back to my word. He would deliver. And we shall not wait for the second term for him to deliver. This first term, he would deliver. This is the reason why he's not even campaigning to be re-elected for his second term, because works will speak for themselves. Bwana Joyce talked about neglecting our party structures. Bwana Joyce, didn't be done at Emulo Moyo win. But if you're not part of the party structures and you're crying on behalf of Abana name,
What's wrong?
because
she's observing what she's saying.
No, listen, Mr. Machacha. Our members, truly bona fide UPND members, know what they fought for. This is why I usually tell people the 2.8 million wouldn't be achieved without the majority Zambians out there of our structures. What was bad in the PF should be more bad in the UPND. Our members haven't been neglected. And again, I'll repeat this. No one has forgotten about our members. No one has neglected our members. Our UPND members, ko ichalo chonse, tetbalabireko. Nishafi otre panga, inga basunga wino. Nashpera na example to say, we know we are coming 12 magushite ko ati tole muraba nesu, baleta ndamine ndarama. Lero balaba nesu. Balechula, tete barangeni ndarama shira balera ngana social media DBC because of the empowerment. This is why kwa mpinderia kuna ilida Dr. say a wise man learns from a fool. Umuntu wa mano na kuchukua alatora mama muchukua. Because the mistakes that the PF made are mistakes that won't be repeated in the UPND. Our members just have to be a little bit patient. I was telling you about the model that we're trying to come up, Mr. Machacha, with. Let me maybe give Kabwe as an example.
What is this model?
Yes.
I know that I'm pressing you for time.
Yes.
What is this model?
This model, Mr. Machacha, I won't disclose the main activity that will be happening. But what we've done is we've identified wards, we've identified constituencies, we've identified district structures to the province on how best whatever money that will be done at that activity will be shared to what level, so that our people are motivated. I do understand. Our people have to eat. We all have to eat. I'm here. I'm an example, Mr. Machacha. Have I been empowered? I haven't. Have I been given a job? No, I'm admitting. I'm on radio. If there's someone who can dispute, they are free to come on radio. I was arrested several times. I was victimized on several occasions. Till now, some people even know to say if PF had won this election, maybe some of us wouldn't have been alive. And we risked all that because of what we knew what we were fighting for. So a little bit of some patience is what we're asking for from our members. And let them not be misled by members of the opposition who say, oh no, and BCG. Don't be misled through such voices, because those but what HH is trying to do is trying to come up with a model that will sustain you UPND members even when we leave office as UPND. Going to Bapawa from Mukushi, he talked about Mukushi textiles.
Industrialization.
Yes. I want to talk about these matters because they're at a certain level in terms of discussions, and that's a sensitive stage where whatever I might say might be used against me.
Right,
So
great.
I'll avoid this.
We'll respect that.
Then, but James Kumakupu, you talked about subsidies. But James, you gave an example of the Kaunda L. But James, with the voice I can tell you, it's distance already be 1 quarter or even less. That's not the distance that you can pay for 1 quarter under in 2022. This we should admit. Populations and a lot of things have changed. Times have changed. So if you understand that of your subsidies, it never fair because the population here is the population to be up. But James. So let us be very factual and we shouldn't just make certain comments because we want to politic. Let us appreciate this for education. You can't appreciate it because but what about town today? They even appreciate when I meet them, but they say, no, honorable, not me school. Because of what? They're not paying anything. So my appeal to our citizens is let us appreciate, and the opposition too, let us appreciate the things that President Hakainde has scored so far.
Right.
It's not always that we are perfect, and we are admitting where we are at fault. And appreciate where we score success.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think when you're in opposition, those who are ruling really call on you also to appreciate what they do.
And we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me read messages. But Chandra, unless you want to react to something quickly before, because I know that the phone calls also, but I've got tons and tons of messages. And I need to be fair.
Go straight to the message.
Okay, great. I know some issues you've tackled there, but I'll just read them so that I will appreciate those comments.
But maybe in the interest of understanding, maybe let us go to issues that we've not tackled.
No, I need to read messages because it's a fair platform.
It might be misleading, Mr. Machado.
No, it might not be misleading because I need to do this in public interest.
There's no problem.
Yeah, because then I'll be accused of being selective.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
Somebody says you react where you can. I think I just want to appreciate those who are sending messages because again I've been accused of saying messages.
Okay.
So in UPND, if young people more, especially UPND cadres, if they complain about the failure of government to employment, if young people rush to the media to raise their complaints, some of UPND officials come out and say and caution youths to discipline them. Mr. Mwenda, are you supporting freedom of speech to be shut down in our country? Because we are seeing also harassment of media personnel. Clarity on that matter. Power and Kushi. Somebody says, Mr. Mwenda from UPND, you promised 250 kwacha million fertilizer 250. You fulfilled the promise very soon. Which is very soon. The government is laid down. These things are bad and communities are very expensive. I'm texting. I'm from Lubuto Clinic, Kabushi constituency. My child is not well and we have been given 7 Panadol and a prescription and I had to go and buy Benv from Mr. X. That is another sad reality. UPND told us that if you vote 10 hours, 14 hours will be okay. What was the meaning of UPND? I said, Machacha, okay, sorry, let me just go back to the message. Just take notes, sir. You'll be able to respond to the ones that you've not responded to. It says, okay, there are too many. Okay, I think should have been on this page. Let me just, okay, where are we now? Tripusheni ichirengere bafirwe okubomba bwino kubulimi baletele ifisha bako kuli bakateka kabweshe fertilizer 250 to the not 12. Okay, and then another one, Mr. Mwenda here, it says, good morning, nice program indeed. Well, let's be real about fertilizer and the sharing of the bag. Honestly, this one is it's not a move. Why not give people the fertilizer you promised? Which mode are you planning for your members? Too many contradicting speeches. I think you've clarified that. Okay. Augustine Kawale, therefore I think to by UPND batulaile ukubwesha imitengo ya fintu na transport to anaka no bufi the 2026 yabo awe. Okay, that's another message there. Okay, morning. Things in Zambia. Kiali Lugana won't say by Fisher, you know, Mwemba from Chambori in Kitwe. All right, morning. Panyo Bachandana has information from farmers. Okay, thank you so much. Your reactions are quickly and maybe on any point that you've noted that you can react to.
I think I'll start with Power from Koshi. He talked about freedom of expression. I think if there's a political party that practices freedom of expression, it must be UPND. Our young people, us young people, members